Welcome everyone, this is First News Network and my name is Satya Ali. We begin today's segment with news of a massive earthquake in Notralia. A 7.5 magnitude earthquake has hit the nation of Notralia, causing widespread damages and panic. The epicenter, we are told, is at 150 miles offshore of the capital city of Port Grande. There's fear of widespread damages and possible loss of life. Eyewitnesses on the ground tells us that buildings shook violently, causing them to collapse and bury people under the rubble. There are reports of damages to hospitals, official buildings, and roads. Rescue missions are nearly impossible at the moment, and a tsunami warning has been put into effect. We are trying to gather as much information as we can on the ground. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we've just received some news. A tsunami has hit. I repeat, a tsunami has hit, and it is likely to have swept off the whole coastal plain of Notralia. At the time, details are scarce, but we're trying our best to gather information. And in the meantime, here in the United States, our president has just released the following statement. My thoughts and prayer go out to the nation, and the United States stands ready to assist the people of Notralia. We will keep you updated on the situation as more information comes in. Welcome, this is First News Network and my name is Satya Ali. Yesterday we reported news on the massive earthquake in the nation of Notralia. A 7.5 magnitude earthquake and a tsunami devastated Port Grande and the coastal areas of the country. Due to severe damages on official buildings, information is limited. However, we were able to obtain footages from local news outlet and people on the ground. The footage you are seeing shows the impact of the earthquake and tsunami that followed. What we're seeing here is very dramatic. Waves are washing away homes and buildings, and it's truly devastating. Reports on the impact vary, with some indicating approximately 7,500 people were killed, more than 15,000 injured, and tens of thousands displaced. Others claim 16,000 dead, 12,000 injured, and 16,000 displaced. Contradiction in the reports are likely due to the lack of access to affected areas. Officials in affected areas are doing their best to respond. The president of Notralia has declared a state of emergency and requested international assistance. Additional help is pouring in from international organizations including the United Nations and United States Agency for International Development's Office of U.S. Foreign Disaster Assistance. Welcome, this is First News Network and my name is Satya Ali. We have more news on the Notralian earthquake. Is social media hindering the relief efforts? Well, before we get to that story, here are some updates on stats. Death tolls continue to rise, and current statistics state that there are over 50,000 people dead, over 120,000 injured, and over 300,000 people displaced in the central province. And in the Coastalville province, there are over 5,000 people dead, over 19,000 people injured, and over 40,000 people displaced, which makes a total of over 140,000 people affected. And this does not even include the rural areas, which makes up most of Notralia. Area routes are being used by aid workers to assess damages in the rural areas that are not accessible by land. And it was reported that flights along the coast are having a hard time landing, but they do confirm that there are damages to those areas. Now more on social media. Yesterday, Facebook and Twitter proved to be instrumental in providing information regarding the disaster. However, as the situation continues to grow, crowdsourcing from Facebook and Twitter can be misleading and unclear. For example, a tweet stating that there's something bigger coming following the earthquake, or Facebook posts such as aid agencies will only work in certain parts of the island are untrue. Officials are advising aid workers and the people of Notralia to double check on their sources. Welcome everyone, this is First News Network and my name is Satya Ali. Today in Natrelia, aid agencies flood the country. Food distribution becomes chaotic. Reports of rising tension between internally displaced people and host communities. Social media criticize slow aid and logistics nightmares at the airport. But first, let's start with the numbers. Here are the updated statistics from the disaster. As access is gained to rural areas, we have seen a significant increase in numbers of dead, injured, and displaced people. In the Central Province area, there are over 1 million people affected by this disaster, and in the Coastal Province, there are over 190,000 people affected. Local and international response to the disaster continues. As tourists and other visitors leave the country, international aid agencies are flooding in to provide life humanitarian aid. Hotels in the capital are quickly becoming overcrowded with aid workers from around the world. Damages from the disaster created a shortage of accommodation that have led prices to skyrocket as demand from aid agencies continues to grow. Additionally, Natrelians are becoming restless as people gather in city squares across the country to receive provisions from aid workers, including Mind, ISC, and York Fam. In the city square of Portgrand, locals form a long line around a York Fam truck to receive food, clean water, and tents. As you can see here, people are becoming very restless due to the shortages of supplies. And our people on the ground are telling us this is due to logistics issues at the Portgrand International Airport. As a report of the devastation in Natrelia becomes clearer, social media has turned critical of the slow response of local and international aid agencies. Twitter posts, such as the ones that you're seeing on the screen, are voicing those complaints. Twitter is also reporting on mounting tensions between IDPs and their host communities in the Hillsville and Hinterland district over access to food and water. We are watching the situation closely and will keep you updated. Welcome everyone. This is First News Network and my name is Satya Ali. Yesterday, we reported news on the rising tensions between host communities and displaced refugees in Natrelia. Today, tensions have intensified and low levels of violence have erupted as refugee camps become overcrowded and food and supplies run low. Some desperate refugees are breaking into local stores to retrieve water and other goods. Local police have begun setting up checkpoints throughout the country to maintain vigilance. Despite the violence, better reports are becoming available as access to affected areas increase. The death toll has now risen to over 130,000, and with an estimated of 2 million people affected by the disaster. With increased access, aid agencies are now beginning to coordinate with each other and target aid to ensure complete coverage of needs. Welcome everyone, this is First News Network and my name is Satya Ali. Aid workers attacked in Natrelia. But first, let's get an update on what's happening. It's been a week now since the earthquake devastated the nation of Natrelia. The country is still struggling to get back on its feet. Challenges like logistical nightmares, shortage of aid and supply, and community violence have made it a long recovery process. Despite the challenges, the UN and other agencies have established a first 30-day plan to ensure smoother delivery of aid. On the screen, you can see official reports from the UN of dead, injured, and displaced people. In the Central Province, there are over 1 million people affected, and in the Coastal Province, there are over 200,000 people affected by the disaster. And now on to our main story. As affected communities complain about the lack of information and aid, there have been reports on humanitarian workers getting attacked in rural areas. Several international organizations are complaining about the security issues of the country. In certain rural areas, search and rescue teams are getting attacked during missions. We are not sure of the cause of these brutal attacks, but we are watching the situation closely and will keep you updated.